Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be talking about data structure in computer programming called a linked list. So this first video we'll be going over the basic concept of what a linked list is and how it works, and then in the following videos we'll go more in depth and show you how to implement them in code. For the series we'll be using Java to code up these concepts. However, they carry across all of computer science. So let's first start off with what a linked list is. So a linked list is simply a set of data elements in an ordered list. They're very similar to arrays. However, there are some key differences that we'll talk at the end of this video about. So a linked list is made up of different nodes. So in drawing, we'll represent a node as this rectangle. So this rectangle represents a node, and in code this would be a wrapper class. The node holds two important data. It holds the data element itself of what the list is made up of. So let's say we have an integer, a slide list of integers, then the data would be the int value. So we'll say 8. And it also holds a reference. So the reference will represent with an arrow. The reference is just a pointer to the next node of the list. So this is how we form the actual list. Now what's important about this is that the nodes do not have to be stored next to each other in memory. But the reference can still point to them, which allows the form of the list. So this is one of the key differences between the array and the linked list that we'll get more into later on. So here we have two different nodes. The first node would be the 8, and then the reference of the 8 points to the next node, which is the 9. And then if the 9 is the last element of the list, well, its reference just points to null. So we just represent that with a couple of lines. Oops. The slide list itself, so now you can see a basic slide list forming of this one of two nodes. The slide list itself also has references. So the reference that you'll most commonly see is the head reference. So we'll just write head here. The head reference just always points to the first node of the list. So in this case, it points to the node that stores the 8. Another reference you typically see would be a tail reference. And a tail does the same thing, but as you may guess, it points to the last element of the list. And a third reference you may see is a cursor. A cursor will represent with an arrow. The cursor could be pointing to any given node at any given time. So right now it's pointing to the 9, but you would have a method that would take the cursor and move it back one node. So now it could be pointing to the 8. The last thing we'll talk about in this video is the differences between arrays and linked lists. When you create an array, you have to give a predefined size. Now that size does not change. So if you have an array of size 5 and you want to add a 6th element onto it, you have to make a new array of size 6 and then transfer all the data over, which is very inefficient. With the linked list though, you can just have, you don't have to predefine a size. You can always just add on another node to the end. However, the arrays do have their advantages over a linked list. With an array, since they're stored next to each other in memory, you can access any element of the array by itself. So you have random access to any element. With the linked list, you do not have that capability. You have to either start off with the head, the tail, the cursor, or any other reference you may have for the slide list, and then if that's not the node you want, you have to navigate through it until you find the one you want. So those are the core concepts behind linked lists. In the next video, we'll talk about how to start implementing a node class and a list class in Java. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.